Get your free copy of the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/free.
The Transaction Control Language, or TCL statements within SQL are the statements used to control a set of data manipulation language, or DML statements, that are executed as a single unit called a transaction. TCL ensures that either all of the changes made by the DML statements within the transaction are committed to the database, or none of them are. This can help to prevent partial changes from a series of statements from being accomplished. For example, if you wanted to run a series of DML statements on a database without TCL statements, and you had a power outage or system crash occur in the middle of the set, you may only have some of those changes applied to the database. TCL statements ensure that all of the statements are successfully made within the database, or that none of them are. Note that while many of the major commands within TCL are fairly standard, there is quite a bit of variation in the execution of the transactions within each RDBMS. You should check your RDBMS documentation to see what options are available for transactions within your system. In SQL, the begin transaction or start transaction statement is used to initiate a transaction within an RDBMS. If the transaction statements that follow fail to execute, then the changes that were made by the statements can be set back to the point that the begin transaction or start transaction statement was executed. Now, the exact command used to initiate a transaction will vary by RDBMS, but it is most commonly either begin transaction or start transaction. The core SQL of this statement is shown below. Note that the work parameter represents the SQL statements that will be executed within the transaction, and clauses shown separated by the pipe symbol indicate that you must select a choice. So the core SQL of the transaction statement is essentially begin transaction or start transaction. Then the work occurs, which would be the various DML SQL statements that are executed against the tables within the database. Finally, you either issue the commit or roll back statements. Now note that this is a very simplified core of the SQL involved in creating transactions within multiple relational database management systems, and most vendors will have more complex options available for their transaction statements. The commit statement is used after the work has been completed to commit those changes to the database. The rollback statement is used to undo any changes to the database caused by the work back to the point at which the transaction statement was initiated. Let's look at a simple example in Access 2013 in an ANSI 92 compliant database. So here we have a base table with just first names and last names. So now we're going to start a transaction. And let's say we want to add records to the base table. And here we'll just insert John Doe into the first name and last name fields. Now note that it hasn't actually appeared within the base table because we haven't issued the commit or roll back statement yet. So now to make them appear within this table, we're going to issue the commit transaction statement, which is used to actually apply those changes to the database. Now, below are hyperlinks to web pages that explain the use of the transaction statement within MySQL 5.7, SQL Server 2012, and Access 2013.
Like what you see? Pick up your free copy of the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/free.